computer okay? So this is the Energy Conservatory. They're the ones who make this. This is the software that you get with the blower door when you make the purchase. So we'll just run through how it works quickly. So I'm going to go File, New Test. And the test standard CGSB that this is designed to is the procedure we talked about yesterday, where you take a minimum number of points at a certain pressures, and they all have to fall on the line. That's that standard is set by CGSB. So that's one we always use. Here they have an equipment field that we've never actually used, but it does have the option. We were asked about calibration yesterday. If you get a calibration done on your fan, for it to be really accurate, you can actually input your serial number and custom calibration data. So if you get that from the manufacturer and you want to make sure your equipment is really, really accurate, you can have the software adjust for your specific equipment. Okay.
The blower doors that are being sent comes with it in there because they're brand new.
Right.
So they have it, but I've never used it.
Right, so we've never, I don't have custom calibration information, but I do have a place to put in what model of fan we're using. So we're using a Model 3 fan, which is this fan, and we're using a DG700 manometer, which is our pressure gauge here.
Mark, can you just go down that list? Because in Peru, I believe it's the machines are 240 volt. It's a Model 3, but for a 240.
230 volts?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so you see it has voltage as well.
Put that in.
So if you're on a different power, that's a good point. We're on 110 volt power here in Canada. If you have a different power source, you need to put it in there. That will affect your numbers.
You want to get in there? Here.
Pass around.
Yeah.
So we're choosing this one because that's our voltage here in Canada. But you may have to go with 230 volts if that's what your power source is in your country. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll say okay. Just going to maximize our window here. Okay, so each time we run a test, if we're using this software, it has a whole bunch of fields where you have optional information you can put in about the project, the address, the builder, the homeowner, anything that you want to do to track your test. So if you're printing a report from your test, it will include all of that information. It's all optional except for the building dimensions, which is down here at the bottom. And this is where we have to put in the volume, floor area, and surface area for the test we're about to run. It won't let us go and run it won't calculate results for us without that information being put in. So I'm just going to change our units to metric, because that's what we use. You can use the garage entrance if you need to get in. So as I was saying earlier, we've done that prep in our own software for this house, so I'm just going to go over there to get those dimensions. So this house is 733 cubic meters in volume. It has a floor area. The floor area is not as important because it only gives you a number based on a user-friendly size. So we'll put a finished floor in just for fun. 182. But the surface area is important, and as I was explaining yesterday, surface area includes not only above ground, but below ground as well. So if you think about it as a cube, it's all 6 sides. Front, back, left, right, top, bottom. All of that area needs to be included. And so that'll be in square meters. So our boundary area is 532 square meters for this house. Say next. Comments, if you have any comments about the test, maybe it's windy, or maybe there's some other condition that you want to make note of, like we did some taping because something was not finished and we tape sealed something, you can make comments there. And we're going to do this test manually, and I'm going to say next. So here it gives us our empty graph, which we have no information for. If I click data table, then it brings up where I can actually put in the information. Okay? So if everyone can see this closely, this is an important one to understand. We have the pre-test and the post-test baseline pressure. That's the static pressure that we're measuring right now. Okay? So we want to put in our pre-test value. It's been moving around a lot, but I would say it's been kind of averaging around 2. -2 has been kind of the average that we've been seeing. So we'll go with that. It changes every time you look at it.
3, 4.
Yeah.
34.
Yeah. So maybe there's been a few high ones, so why don't we say -3?
Do you not put the cover plate on for that?
You should. You should. We've got ring E on though, it's very, very close to 0. So that, Amanda's point is, this should actually be closed completely to take this setting, so let's see if that changes it.
Yes.
Look at that. So I would say that's more like 1. -1. So we'll go with -1. You can see how scientific this is. So the other things you have to enter before you get started, enter temperature data for what today's temperature is. So it's asking for Fahrenheit, which I don't understand, so I'm going to change that to Celsius. Oh, it's not going to let me while I'm here, so. Gary, you're good at Fahrenheit temperatures, aren't you?
What do you want to know?
What's the indoor and outdoor temperature in Fahrenheit today, do you think?
Oh, it's 14 degrees, so what would that be, about, I don't know, 55?
55 outside?
Yeah. And it would be 72 inside.
Yeah. So the software does have an option to make that Celsius if you're using Celsius. Yeah. I just didn't do it in time. And then it also has the flow data source at the top left here, and that's asking us what are the numbers you're going to be putting in. Are you measuring flow or pressure? And as I was saying yesterday, we always do pressure because that's what we get as a default. You can see when you look at this closely, down in this corner it says PR/PR, which stands for pressure. So I need to make sure that this is in fan pressure as opposed to flow. The flow settings, we can make this read flow, but then we have to make sure that the fan ring on this matches the fan ring we choose on this. And there's more opportunity for errors, so it's much easier to just go with pressure. Once we have that all set up, we're ready to go. So on each line, we can enter the results from one point. So it'll ask us the building pressure, which is the pressure we set on this side of the fan. It'll ask us the fan configuration, which is which ring we're using. And then it will ask us for the fan pressure, which is the output reading we're getting on this side. Okay? So let's try it on ring E just to see what the results are. It shouldn't be able to get, unless this house is very tight, this should be too small of a ring for us to use. But we'll try.
Turn the light back on there too, so they can see it. There you go.
Turn this all the way up. Okay. So actually, I think something might be open. Can you check the garage door for me? There's some people banging it out.
Actually, it's pretty small.
It is a pretty small ring. So you can see we're only generating 3 pascals of pressure. So that's not enough. So let's go one ring at a time so we can see the difference. We'll take E off. I'll try it on D. Higher, we were up to, but we need to get at least to 50, so we're still a long ways off. Shut that down again. Okay, now we've got a bigger ring. Let's see how this one does. Okay. Now, so I'm not even all the way up. Yeah. And we're getting to 60, so this is a good ring for this test. Okay. It's also a good sign that this is a pretty tight house because we have a small ring on for a big house, and that's a good sign that it's a tight house. So we're going to take 8 different. Well, we'll take 8 different pressure readings, starting at 60 and going down. So does someone want to work this? Or do you want to try this as we go? So you'll see that it bounces around a little bit. You can just try playing with it and see how sensitive it is. You can really make very fine adjustments. So you want this to be 60. We're very close. That looks good.
Yes.
That's perfect. It'll always do that a little bit. Because the wind is moving. So when this is about 60 most of the time, then we take this number and we put it into our read. So
be negative, right, Mark?
Yes.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, you have to break down negative. So it's not conditions if you don't.
And it defaults to negative on here, but it's, yeah, either way it'll work itself out in the wash. So I'm going to put 60 in here. We're on ring B, and our fan pressure is about 139. Okay, so it's ready for the next one. So now you go down to 55.
Yeah, the dial. It's almost like it's plugs into the fan. That's how they're connected.
So as you play with this, you get used to the number doesn't respond as fast as you turn. So you usually turn, wait, turn, wait. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Okay. So I've got negative 55, and it's negative because we're depressurizing the house, right? Everyone understands that? Yes. Ring B still, and the flow is about 117. Yeah. Okay.
A ver, Rocío,
139. This is this number here.
¿quieres probar para bajar a... Yo solo no, para que ustedes todos...
Okay.
A 50.
Ya.
Bajar a 50. Sí, livianito nomás. Ahí está, perfecto. Ya no hay.
Mark, you go down by 5 by 5,
Five
right?
by five, yeah.
Ahí.
Okay. So, just if you're doing manual tests and you want to be very safe, the safest numbers to take, because this bounces, right? It goes up and down, up and down. So if you always take the lowest number on this side from the bounce and the highest number on this side, that's your worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
So if this is going between 49 and 52, if I take 49,
Uh-huh.
it's 49.
right, and then if this is going between 103 and 110, if I take 110, that'll be the worst. And then that means that at least we know if the worst is doing okay, then it's okay. So I think we got 50 and 104. That's it.
So actually you want the worst one in the other side?
The worst from both sides
Okay.
will give you the safest test. That means if someone else repeats your test to audit you or something like that, that they will at least get the same result or better,
Or better.
right? Okay, so 45.
¿Quieres probar? Sí, sensible.
¿Puedes escalar a la derecha?
No, aquí está. Estamos bajando ya.
Alex, do you want to, in this, after we get this number, just pop the garage door so they can see what happens when somebody does that?
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Alright.
Okay. So that's good. We've got about 89, 88. Okay, so sometimes you're in the middle of a test and you have painters or someone else in the house and they want to come and go and they'll open a door or they'll open a window or it'll pull open something. So Alex, go ahead. Oh, there you are. So this, you'll know it right away. If you're running your test and somebody opens something, this is what's going to happen. Just watch the door. Yeah, and all of your numbers go down. So you have to wait until it closes and regenerates. Thanks, Alex. And you can see right away as soon as the door is closed again, it comes right back up. Okay. So that's a pretty good sign, and then you can go and yell at whoever did it.